Welcome back to Scale Model Kit Review. This is Steve. I am back with another airbrush review. This time it is the Gaahleri GHAC-98D airbrush, and this is part of the Ace series. This has both a fine and a medium needle, 0.38 and 0.5 millimeter dual action. Has excellent atomization effects with low pressure, removable material pot, drop, self-in-centering nozzle, reduces possibility of nozzle clogs, and extremely polished pot, easy to clean. So we'll look at those features here. I haven't actually opened this up yet. I need to cut the seal on this. So it has been QC passed by Gaahleri. And if you haven't done so already, check out my other two reviews of the Gaahleri airbrushes. I did a review of the GHAC-39 airbrush, and that's part of the advanced series. It also has a fine and a medium needle with it. I'll put a link down below. And lastly, I did the handheld trigger type airbrush from Gaahleri, and that was the GHAC-98 airbrush. So check out both of those reviews and see how those airbrush perform. And these are very inexpensive airbrushes, so you're thinking about getting into the airbrush realm with your hobby. These are good ones to start it off with. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on an airbrush. You can just get one of these. This particular airbrush goes for around retail around $120, but you can find them on sale, and you might even find it on sale with the link I put down below. So as I open this up, they do give you a test sample page showing you what this airbrush is capable of doing. They also give you quick start guide, instruction manual on how to use the airbrush, and I like that a whole lot. What I do like on the inside of the box is the breakdown of the airbrush, and tells you how to put everything back together here, and that's fantastic because not many airbrush companies actually give you this. Gaahleri does. So that's very high quality there. And we'll look to see what came in here. We have extra seals that came with this, and you can kind of see all the seals there on top. And they do give you some needle lube, lubrication for the needle. You want to use very sparingly, a little bit of this normally. And you do get this, the 0.5 millimeter needle, and the nozzle for it. The nozzle needs to match the needle, so the nozzle for it is right in here. And the airbrush itself, fantastic finish on it. Has a nice clear protection for the needle itself on the end there. Very high gloss chrome plated there. You can see there's a seal in there for when the color cup gets installed on this. This one just comes with the single color cup, but it's the large color cup, and that will just screw down on top just like that, and very easy. It screws down onto that seal. Pull the cap off, and you can see here just how chrome finished inside there. Very nice finish. And dual action, push down, pull back, right? Push down gives us the air, pulling back gives you the paint. And then of course it does come with the quick disconnect for your air hose, so that's very nice there too. A lot of airbrushes don't do that. It also comes with a trigger limiting feature, so if you screw that in, it will limit how far back you can pull back on the nozzle, the trigger, and that will limit how much paint comes out, which is nice to use. If you want to have a consistent spray each time, you can adjust that, and it will limit your trigger movement, therefore limiting the amount of paint coming out. So before you begin using any new airbrush, what you want to do is you want to take it apart and inspect everything, make sure everything looks good. That way you know how to take it apart and put it back together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'll take the color cup off. One of the first things that you should do when you take your airbrush apart is you should take the needle out first, very carefully. So I'll do that here. And take the guard off. The back here, it just unscrews. And we'll loosen up the needle support and pull the needle out carefully. And there it is. And needles are the most delicate part of the airbrush. You want to treat these very carefully. Never put this inside of a washing machine, or like one of those hypersonic cleaners or stuff like that. You can simply just clean this by hand with a soft rag or soft paper towel and some solvent if needed. But that's the needle. Now we can go ahead and start taking everything else apart on this. You can take the air valve out. And of course the quick disconnect comes off the air valve too. There you go. And there's the air valve. You can see there. Very nice how that goes. This does unscrew from underneath if you need to take it out and change out the spring for any reason, but that's very nice. And we should be able to pull our needle, our trigger out. So the trigger comes out, and when you take out the little spring in here for the trigger, you want to make sure you see how it went. It's half moon shape. You want the moon to go in this direction on that spring, and I'll show you what I mean. Everything looks good so far though. Very nice. It feels good too. It has a good weight to it. So this is a traditional, airbrush. And there it is. So it's actually attached, and that makes it nice too. And so when you go to put it in, it's already set up for you. Okay, just like that. So it's already set up. So that makes that nice. Okay, and all this can come apart. If you need to take it apart and clean the spring, you got that there too. I'm just going to leave it together for now. That all looks good. Very nice there. And the body is pretty much taken apart. Now we'll take our nozzle off. Looks like a little small seal right there. And I'll give you a close-up of that here in a second. And our self-centering nozzle. And there it is. Okay, so there's our nozzle. Remember, the nozzle needs to match the needle. Let's get a closer look. And a little bit of a piece of chrome shaving came out from the manufacturing, so that's why it's a good idea to clean your airbrush out, because this could interfere with the paint or the air. So we know that that's out of the way, and you could actually rinse everything off with your airbrush cleaner. But remember, the needle needs to match the nozzle. So this is a 0.38 for both. And if you look at the nozzle, it has these air grooves for atomization on the side, which is very unique for Gaahleri airbrushes, and I think it really contributes a lot to this airbrush's performance. So you have the seal, and that's very nice, very impressive. And of course, part of the nozzle there, the housing for the nozzle looks good, and the protector sleeve for the needle on the end. And there we go. So that's how you take it apart, and that's how you inspect your Gaahleri Ace 98 airbrush. Now I'll go ahead and reassemble this. So when reassembling it, you can go ahead and install the air valve first, and that's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and put the air valve on it first. There you go. Let me back away just a little bit here. That way I don't go off camera. And just hand tight is all you need for that. That looks good there. I'll go ahead and put the quick disconnect on there. That's good there. I like how it feels too, how it snugs down. Very nice. And then you can take your trigger and you want to insert it into that hole for the air valve. Nope, it wasn't. So there we go. So you should have some movement for the trigger when you have it in the right direction. That's what you have. Next we'll take our needle housing and you want to insert it just like that with that longer piece on top. So that's going to go through and up against the trigger. Can you see that? And then we'll screw this in. Now we should have movement here. We do. We'll screw it in all the way so we have some pressure against the trigger, making sure we still have movement. We do. And a little bit slippery here. It's not what I'm used to, but that's okay. Gaahleri does answer all my questions I've asked them about with these airbrushes. They're very good customer service, 24/7. You can call them anytime. So that's good there. So that's locked in. Now I'm going to take and just loosen up the lock there. Now, a lot of people have mentioned this to me that, hey, why don't you put the needle in through the nose of the airbrush first? That way it protects the needle. If you go this way, you run the risk from the back. If you go this way from the back, you run the risk of bending the very tip. So what a lot of people like to do is run it from the front. So that's what I'll do. And it should run through. There we go. And I'm going to run it all the way until I can see the needle inside the chamber there, the end of it. And I'm going to leave it there while I put on the nozzle. Okay, so my next step is to put the nozzle in. Self-centering, like they say. Take and put that in, just like that. That looks good there. Perfect. And then screw that down. Now you can, there's a seal on here, so be careful with that. You can see there's a tiny seal. It's kind of green colored. Can you see it? If that seal's missing and you don't have another seal, they do give you a spare. They give you 2 spares. But if you run out of spares, you can take some beeswax and put it on the threads. Okay, and that's good there. That's cinched down, and then we can put on the needle guard on that. Perfect. What I do like is how the trigger goes in and the spring for it, how the spring's attached. It makes it a lot simpler to put this together than most other airbrushes. Now I can go ahead and take my needle and push it forward until it stops very gently. There we go. I'll lock it down and it's ready to go. Put the guard on. And ready to rock and roll with this one. It really feels good too. I like it. So far I've liked every one of these airbrushes. And I'll put the color cup on it because we're going to paint with this next to give it a try. And there you have the Gaahleri Airbrush GHAC-98 Advanced Series Airbrush. Very nice. Now the next phase of this review is to check it out, see how it operates. So let me get set up and I'll be right back. And welcome back. I have everything set up to start airbrushing with this. And excuse my vent fan. In the near future I'll have my new studio set up and you'll no longer hear my vent fan when I do these airbrush demos. But anyway, got the air on this and I got my MAC valve hooked up, and if you don't own a MAC valve, I highly recommend it. This can control your airflow from your compressor without you having to go back there and adjust your regulator. So I've got it shut off right now, so you see no air is coming out. I can adjust the air flow that I want. So I have my air set up at about 25 psi on the regulator. And that's how that works there. So I'm going to go ahead and put my paint into this, but first let me show you the subject. If you watched my last review, you saw I was painting this beauty right here. It's 3D bust, and I'll put a description down below. I'll put how you can get this bust for yourself, but you can see it's a wonderful rendering, highly detailed. So the next step was to paint some flesh tone, some basic the base color for the flesh, and I've already got it highlighted, and we're going to go in with some Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl Tan Flesh. Okay, this is a very nice performing acrylic paint, and I really like it. So the way I do it is I live in a very dry climate, so I'm going to add some flow improver, just a drop or two. That's all that's needed. And I'm going to add some thinner. This way it gives the cup some thinner first. Okay, I'm back. So we'll go in with some Tan Flesh from Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl line. That should be good there. I'm going to mix it in the cup. Needs a little more thinner. It's good there. Good. Okay. So we'll see. Go ahead and see how this airbrush is here. A little more pressure. Very smooth. Really lays down the color very nicely. Like that. That looks good. And go ahead and lay down the flesh color on her. Just very lightly here. Very responsive, very easy to control. Very nice. Very nice. I'm impressed with it so far. Very nice. And very nice there. Go ahead and do her shoulder. Remember, this is just a base color. Lots of other colors will get applied. Very nice there. And get the back of her ears. And her other shoulder. And there we go. Just a little bit more there. She looks good. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and seal her. I use a Krylon UV resistant matte sealer. I'm going to seal her and I'll be right back. Okay, so she's been sealed up with my Krylon matte UV clear. And I like to seal in between each layer of paint. So it's ready to go now. So my next coat will be the shadows. I'm going to be adding shadows to the bottom side of her. So I'll definitely be airbrushing in that direction. The color I'm using is the Shadow Flesh from Monument Hobbies, Acryl Pro line. And into the same needle, the Gaahleri Ace. I basically just rinse this out and it's ready for the new color. I used my homemade airbrush cleaner. Comment down below if you want to know what that is. Okay. A little bit of flow improver, just one drop. The flow improver could extend your drying time of the paint, so I don't like to use too much of it. And we'll thin this down a little bit. Go ahead and Mix it up here a little bit here. You want to be careful you don't get this to splatter on your figure that you're painting or anything. So I'm being really careful here. Let's see how this sprays. Bring down my pressure with my MAC valve a little. Okay, and I'll be going from underneath. And it is very thin. Going down in thin layers. And wherever it's dark is where I want this color to lay down. Okay, back with some more. Need more paint. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. That looks good. Looking good. And that looks good. That's how I want that. Maybe just a little bit there. Good. Yeah. And that looks great. So that's the shadow flesh. Now we'll switch to another color. I need to seal it first, then we'll go to another color. So I'll be right back. And here she is, highlighted with the shadow flesh and sealed up. So now I'm going to go in with some warm flesh from the top down, very lightly. So I'm going to go ahead and load up the airbrush and I'll be right back. Okay, so go ahead and do the highlights now. Top of her ears done here. Very thin. Her cheeks, her nose, her forehead, a little bit of her chin, tops of her shoulders. And this shoulder here. Very nice. from the side a little bit. From that side a little bit. Looks good. And that's what she looks like there, highlighted up. I like it. And of course I'll go ahead and seal her again one more time, and then I'm going to go in with some colors. And if you want to see how I paint my flesh tones, I did come up with a video separate from this, but I'm very, very happy with this airbrush. Very smooth trigger, easy to handle, easy to switch out the paint. Didn't take long at all to clean it out between colors. Didn't really have to be that thorough with it anyway when you're changing colors. But however, at the end here, I'm going to go ahead and give it a thorough cleaning. I'll take it apart and clean all the parts, and it will be ready to go for my next shot here. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and see how this goes with the black Stynylrez, the Badger Stynylrez. It's a very thick primer, self-leveling, and it's an excellent primer. I would recommend it. But let's see how that primer goes through this 0.38 nozzle. It's recommended a 0.5 millimeter nozzle for the Stynylrez. So this is a smaller one, and I'll show you how you can shoot the Stynylrez through this airbrush. I'll be right back. Alright, so the real test here will be shooting the Stynylrez through this, the Badger Stynylrez, and I have it right here, black primer. What the key to doing this is to warm it up. So I have mine in a coffee cup on a heating pad, and it's pretty warm, so I'll shake it up. My airbrush pressure is around 30 psi, and we don't thin it at all. Just pour it in there neat, just like that. Give it a test. There we go. And my next project, this is my Halloween project, and I primered her with an SEM high build primer, and that way I could see whatever lines that need to be touched up or sanded. So I'm going to touch up where I sanded her. I sanded her on the shoulder, underneath the chin, under the hat. There were a couple spots that were kind of rough in the printing process, so I just want to cover those up. There we go. Looks good. She looks good. Nice. She looks good. So you can hardly see it coming out, but that's what I have coming out, and I don't want it coming out too thick. That looks good there. So I'd say it passed the test. So I hope this review was good for you, and you saw exactly how this comes apart and goes back together. and how to airbrush with it. Remember, the closer you get, the finer lines you get, the further away the lines get larger, obviously a lot thicker, just like that. Or if you get close, you can do that. So I think it's a fabulous airbrush for $120 or less. Where can you go wrong? So I did put a link to my Amazon store where you can pick this up. I'll be right back. And there you go. This was my review of the Gaahleri Ace Series GHAC-98D airbrush. This is a double action airbrush. 2 different size needles included in with this. Lots of extras with these airbrush. Great value here, very smooth operation. If you want to get one of these for yourself, I put a link down below to the Amazon store where you can pick one of these up, and keep checking because you might even see it on sale. This airbrush does retail for around $120. So why spend $400, $500, $600 on an airbrush when you can get this and it will do just the work you need it to do. So I'd like to thank you all for watching my videos, and everyone who subscribes to my channel, thank you also. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and smash that like button. Happy modeling, everybody, and take care.